Welcome back. Today we are going to be looking at a video by Chrisiousity on the subject of a word she's not overly fond of. So take it away, Chrissy.
Hello, YouTube.
How you doing out there? Hope you're comfortable. Hope you're nice and moist.
Chrisiousity here. So right off, a bit of housekeeping.
I like that you do your womaning before you make your videos. Kudos.
Okay, on to the point. And just as a note, I'm going to have to use the C word at least a few times. You know, the see you next Tuesday rhymes with punt, possibly some other slurs as well. And we'll be talking about violence. It could be rough, so just so people know.
In case it was too difficult to decipher Chrisiostity's incredibly complex language style, she was referring to the word cut. Did I just self-censor myself? Box. Anyway, to make it easier, I have amended Chrisiostity's visual layout to make it abundantly clear what the word was and is, but also because it looks nicer.
Now, in America, the C word,
I think you mean
cunt,
is a slur. It's an anti-woman slur, a very nasty one. Also has very cisnormative connotations as well.
Firstly, I hear everyone get called
cunt.
And second, I would love to know how calling someone that is somehow transphobic because of its cisnormative connotations.
Now, in other countries, such as the UK or Australia, it doesn't have the same impact. It's used more casually.
As a Brit, I do want to defend my country a little. You see, yes, it is used somewhat casually in some areas, but that doesn't apply to most of the United Kingdom. I live in an area where it is a vilified word. People don't use that word because they consider it to be uncultured. I see no problem with it personally, but it rarely pops up in my usual day-to-day conversations. Now, as far as Australia goes, I'll just ask suit yourself.
Fuck off, cunt.
Well, isn't he lovely?
This situation is great for misogynists, and not so great for feminists, women, trans or non-binary peeps, and this is where I'm coming in.
In truth, I'm quite excited to see how you managed to prove the word is quite harmful to trans people, or, like earlier stated, those cisnormative connotations. I'm also interested to know how this word is misogynistic. Does this mean then that those that use it casually in day-to-day life that are female or on the internet have internalized their misogyny? I really hope you don't say that. That would be terrible.
And I'm embarrassed to say, wanted to make this video a while, and I've been chickening out, and I feel badly for that.
Well, we all know the consequences of making a video telling people they shouldn't use the word. It's going to lead to your comment section being filled with the word. It's hardly a shocker, really. It's like making a video on autistic screeching and then being surprised, or not being, maybe you were, I don't know, but being surprised nonetheless when your comment section is filled with that re.
But this is where I come in to ask male allies, feminists, really all men who like and respect women and trans people, to do us all a solid and stop using it, especially as an insult.
It seems to me you have this wrong. From what I've noticed, those that seem to treat women as equals are not male feminist, especially when those women don't share their opinions or did once and turn their backs on it. Those male feminists become the most insufferable and intolerant plonkers I've ever had the misfortune of seeing on the internet.
Let's talk a little about the word itself. The C word,
Cunt.
has a very long history. It means the whole vagina and vulva type area, clitoris, the whole thing.
I would say that's hot, but I don't want to be caught lying.
The etiology is a matter of some dispute, which makes sense because of its age. Somewhere in the 13th century was the first recorded usage of it, where the street in London known for sex workers was named Grope Cunt Lane.
I would like to add that that particular street's name existed in other cities in England. We liked to keep our whores in one place.
It was used by Chaucer, referenced by Shakespeare, double entendre there. And it just referred to the body part at that point.
Yes, I get the already obvious point that words have meanings that change over time. It's like the word faggot. Words changed meaning over time. I still got banned off Facebook for saying I was having faggots in gravy for dinner though. Facebook really needs to up its game. So hard to find decent faggots these days.
Somewhere along the line, in the context of Christian sexual repression and just the overwhelming sexism of the age, the kind that didn't allow women to vote or inherit property, but did allow men to beat them with sticks.
The problem with what you're saying is that quite a number of people, men and women, could not own property. Simple fact, they had very little rights if they were a low enough class. And as far as beating your woman goes, that just seems like a reasonable way to keep them in check. If the sarcasm in this isn't obvious enough, honestly, I don't know how to convince you other than to hold up a sign saying sarcasm.
It became a slur and was used as hate speech. Now, what does that mean? Hate speech is defined as speech which attacks a person or group on the basis of attributes such as race, religion, ethnic origin, sexual orientation, disability, or gender.
So intersectional feminism falls quite neatly into that, then.
It is used to dehumanize these groups, and it's been widely studied for its role in violence and even genocide. Things a lot of people would really like to see stop, which is why they study it.
When I first heard you say this, after watching the video twice through, I initially thought to myself, can you imagine if Winston Churchill called Adolf Hitler and called him the dreaded C word, and that started World War II? It amused me anyway.
Now, I'm going to quote from one of the many sources that I will be linking below, Mechanisms of Moral Disengagement in the Exercise of Moral Agency, to explain why this is. And so, in more layman's terms, what this paper is talking about is why regular, everyday people who may be nice and normal in most situations and have reasonable morals about treating other people well, are able sometimes to suspend their morals and be horrendous to certain of their fellow human beings. And the paper describes the sort of internal rationalizations that allow people to do this.
Fantastic. You have provided a study, one of many sources, that essentially overthinks the obvious, that boils down and can simply be boiled down to, at some point, everyone snaps. Patience, if quantified, is a finite resource, depending on the person. Now you spend the next minute reading from a passage from 10 pages of a journal that is considerably larger. It's quite an interesting read. I would recommend everyone read it. I will leave it in the description below as well. Personally, I don't care about it. I don't care why people are offended. I don't care why a word is being used, and I don't care what causes people to lose their patience. And yes, I've left the text on the screen so people can read it so they didn't have to listen to you read for a minute. No offense, Chrissy.
Such an important precondition for violence and genocide. It's why in Vietnam we called our enemies Charlies and Gooks.
I had often wondered why we called them Charlie. I remember hearing it in MASH with Checkpoint Charlie, but whenever I heard these nicknames, I would in my head simply change it to the word enemy, removing any racial connotations or anything offensive about it that simple, delicate people wouldn't get so easily offended by.
It's why after Rwanda, a pop star got a prison term, as he had a lot of truly hateful songs, and then went around with a loudspeaker during the conflict asking if his fellows had gotten rid of all the snakes that may be hiding, the disgusting fucker. Of course, it's not just the speech alone, there's context there.
I would agree that this is where context is important. For example, the musician you mentioned was sentenced to 15 years for his direct and public incitement to commit genocide. There is a vast difference between that and calling someone, well...
For instance, people who are considered authorities or highly regarded, their words are going to have more weight. As I was writing this, Blair White put up a video that sort of perfectly encapsulates a lot of what we're talking about right in the thumbnail. The title is How Trannies Get Beat Up, Tricking Men.
Blair White is not in a position of authority. Blair White is a rather large content creator who happens to be trans. I don't know many trans content creators that have an issue with the word tranny. Then again, I talk to quite a number and all seem to use it frequently. But I'm sure there are the odd one or two that take issue with the word. Again, though, it is just a word.
Now, this is a three-striker right from the get-go. Blair is a popular YouTube personality who is trans, which means many people will give her words more weight. She uses the dehumanizing slur, misspelling it, so it won't get demonetized, because if you're going to throw a whole group of people under a bus, you want to get paid for it, am I right? And also has a third factor described in the paper on moral disengagement, which is shifting the blame onto the victim, implying they have some responsibility for being beaten up.
Okay, so to address each point in turn. The first one, yes, Blair is a rather large content creator that happens to be trans. So when people listen to her talk on trans issues, yes, they're going to, or some are going to take her as an authority, but that doesn't make her an authority. That is the individual's perspective. The second, Blair has changed the title if it was what you say it was. She is a full-time content creator, and if she chooses to do that to monetize her videos, that is up to her. And third, she is not shifting the blame onto the person, merely reminding them that it is their responsibility to be upfront with the person they may or may not get with.
They tricked those men. I mean, what are they gonna do? Not be violent? Not punch or kick or rape or torture another human being? Come on.
That is not what she said, nor what she meant. You are misrepresenting everything she said in that video.
In the context of rising hate crimes and even record numbers of murders of trans people, especially trans women and trans women of color most particularly, because they're doubly, triply dehumanized. This is just so disgusting, I don't know where to start. But hey, fuck you, Blair.
I never thought I'd see the day that I'd see such tolerance from you towards a trans woman. And it's a shame in all those sources you link in the description to your original video, not a single one happens to back up the murder rates you mentioned.
Shifting back to the C word.
Cunt.
This word is tricky because in some countries it's used differently from others, which gives it cover. Because yes, it's absolutely used as hate speech, dehumanizing the targets by reducing the whole of their person to their genitals. And it's used viciously, hatefully, to suppress women, to push them back, and therefore should be put right along with all the other slurs.
Regardless of the word's original meaning, the only people that still bleat on about how the word is seen as calling someone else's genitals are people like yourself, the more fragile. For the most part, people who use the word use it as a word. It's just a word. They are not dehumanizing, they are not suppressing, oppressing, they are not making women seem smaller than they are, as men and women use this word. It is an utterly redundant position to hold, to think that words like this should, like all other slurs, be banned in some way, curtailing free speech because feels, which is what it all boils down to. There's no point denying it.
Now I'm not saying pass any laws or put anyone in jail, but I'm a humanist, and as I've said before, I ban it on my channel.
Yes, and I can't help but notice that since you uploaded this video, quite a number of comments have that word in it. I wonder why that is. Could it be people just love that word? Or is it that they don't like being told what not to say?
I'm not going to let it pass in conversations, and that's my way of asserting my values. Same as I wouldn't have people in my house who talked like this. I would be like, get the hell out of my house.
Yes, we all have standards for which we abide for ourselves, whether it be on our channels or at home. Mine, for example, is the consistent position of absolute free speech. I will not ban your comments, I will not block you from my channel, and I will not kick you out of my house because you have said a word I'm not overly fond of. I don't care what you say. Then again, I did invite you into my house. Chances I do care what you say, but don't care what you've chosen to phrase whatever it is you're trying to say, if that makes sense. Carry on.
This puts me in a very bad position because I have allies. I have people who aren't using it as a slur, but they're using it. And now I'm in a position where, what do you mean I can't use the C word around you? You let this person use the C word and you can explain. There is such a thing as context. There is such a thing as meaning. And you know as well as I do, anybody who's had these arguments know that that isn't going to fly. It has to be consistent. And there really isn't much you can do about that.
I wish in this particular segment you just picked one of your allies, like Kevin Logan, who uses it all the time. And you could say context, but there is no context that justifies using such foul language. Because you yourself have stated it's a dehumanizing word that suppresses women. He's, after all, one of your allies. I had considered at this point making a small compilation video of every time he has used that word, but honestly, who has the effort for that?
And I don't want to be in that position. Quite frankly, I don't actually think it's all that okay. This is the same argument that you get with the N-word.
Nigga run, nigga flow, nigga tore his shirt in two. Run, run, a patty roller get you. Run, nigga, run, well, you better get away.
Other words like that. hey, how come this person can use it and this person can't? How come you can use it in this sense, but not in this sense?
Minus the obvious when you really shouldn't use certain styles of language, it is still just words.
And then you get the, well, it's just words. But that's like, think of it this way. Let's say you had a dumpster full of disgusting, stinky, toxic, blech, it's just disgusting. And sitting there on top of all that horrible, disgusting, worst dumpster you ever smelled in your life, with the flies and everything, there's a sandwich, and I pick up, stick it in your face and say, hey, eat this sandwich. And you're like, yeah, you know, and it's gross.
Tell me everything about this sandwich. Can it be salvaged? Is it possible to get one of my wenches, one of my many wenches, to run repairs on this poor, defenseless sandwich?
And then I come back with, what? It's just a sandwich. What is your problem? Are you some sort of snowflake?
I prefer the term sandwich snob.
And literally speaking, of course, it's true. It's just a sandwich, right? But it's a sandwich that got contaminated and is full of disgustingness now. You can't just pick it up, dust it off, and expect that there isn't going to be any lingering horribleness. And that's psychologically sort of what goes on with these slurs, with this hate speech.
At this point in time, the same thing could be said for feminism. The same thing could be said for the left. But at the end of the day, it is still just a word. Taking offense so easily shows how sensitive you are to certain language, you as the individual that is. Regardless of the word's origin or meaning in the past, the fact the word is used so casually should, if anything, devalue what it once was considered to be. It does not mean we are normalizing the suppression of women. It means there are a lot of people out there who seem to fall under that particular banner, i.e.
cunt.
You're a cunt, mate.